What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 8 sleeper picks.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to give you some of my top DFS sleeper picks, super low priced and low ownership players that could crush value this week and give your lineup an advantage over the field. These are risky plays, meant for large tournaments only. Don't go all in on any of these guys. They are high risk, high reward picks. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NFL Week 8. Let's take a look at the quarterback position. So it was kind of hard for me to find a sleeper pick here at the quarterback position. You could go with Geno Smith at 5% ownership, Daniel Jones at 5% ownership. I like Daniel Jones. He's got a nice matchup here. He's got some nice rushing upside. Both those guys are pretty low salary. $5,700 DraftKings salary for Daniel Jones and $5,800 DraftKings salary for Geno Smith. But if you're looking for a sleeper pick, someone that's going to be way under the radar, although he doesn't have a good matchup, take a look at Justin Fields from the Chicago Bears playing the Dallas Cowboys, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing quarterbacks. Now, Justin Fields scored 24 fantasy points versus the Patriots last week. He was fantastic in that game. He had 14 rush attempts. He's only going to be about 3% owned, projected at 18 fantasy points here in Week 8. He's $5,200 DraftKings salary, $1,300 more on FanDuel. And I like this pick because he's averaging 9.7 rush attempts per game. He got 14, 12, and 8 rush attempts in his last 3 games, scored 24, 19, and 17 fantasy points. So no one's talking about Justin Fields, but this guy's got major rushing upside. He's super low salary, only about 3% ownership, so low ownership. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 42.5 points scored in this game. They have the Chicago Bears trailing by 10. So this game script could favor Justin Fields. He could get some extra pass attempts in this one, feel the pressure to run the ball and make a big play. So I like Justin Fields here versus the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. One of my sleeper picks at the running back position is Miles Sanders from the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have the 5th worst defense overall. They give up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Miles Sanders has averaged 15.1 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 17.5 rush attempts per game and 2.2 pass targets per game. He's only going to be about 4% owned, projected at 15 fantasy points here in Week 8. He's $6,600 DraftKings salary, $800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 42.5 points scored in this game, with the Eagles favored by 10.5. So this could be a good game script for Miles Sanders, as he could get some extra rush attempts in this game if the Philadelphia Eagles pull ahead by 10 or 14 points here. It's a good matchup, and Miles Sanders has scored 14, 8, and 33 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 18, 15, and 27 rush attempts on top of 1, 3, and 3 pass targets. So I like Miles Sanders here versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy,
and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video.
So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, now this guy's not a sleeper pick, but I just want to remind everyone that Ezekiel Elliott is out. Looks like he didn't practice. He's going to be out this week. So Tony Pollard going to get the start at running back for the Dallas Cowboys, playing the Chicago Bears, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Tony Pollard has averaged 10.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 9.6 rush attempts per game and 2.6 pass targets per game. And that's running the ball behind Ezekiel Elliott. So with Zeke out, he should get close to 20 touches in this game. He's going to be about 32% owned. So not exactly a sleeper pick, but in this video I decided for my Sunday morning videos, I want to go through some of the players that are going to benefit due to injury. So they might not be sleeper picks, the ownership might be high, but I'm going to point them out either way. So Tony Pollard is projected at 16.1 fantasy points here in week 8. He's 6,100 DraftKings salary, only 200 more on FanDuel. So I love that FanDuel price. Vegas thinks there's going to be 42.5 points scored in this game, with the Cowboys favored by 10. So this could be a good game script for Tony Pollard. He could get a ton of rush attempts in this game, and he's been known to shine when he gets the start with Zeke out. And it's a good matchup here, so I like Tony Pollard here versus the Chicago Bears. Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. So one of my favorite sleeper picks here at the wide receiver position is Marquise Goodwin from the Seattle Seahawks, playing the New York Giants, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They've been pretty good versus opposing wide receivers, but just take a look at the wide receivers for the Seahawks. Tyler Lockett, questionable. DK Metcalf, questionable. Penny Hart, out. So Marquise Goodwin, he could be in line for some extra pass targets here tonight. Now, last week, he scored 23 fantasy points off of 5 pass targets. Only going to be about 2% owned. Projected at 8.6 fantasy points here in week 8. And he's only 4,400 DraftKings salary, 1,200 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 44.5 points scored in this game, with the Seahawks favored by 3. So I like Marquise Goodwin here versus the New York Giants. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, another sleeper pick that I like is Brandon Ayuk from the San Francisco 49ers, playing the LA Rams, who have a good defense overall, but they give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Now remember, Deebo Samuel is out, so Brandon Ayuk could get some extra pass targets this week. Although his volume has been fantastic the past 2 weeks, He's averaging 13 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 7 pass targets per game. He's been on the field for 91% of the snaps, only going to be about 5% owned, projected at 17 fantasy points here in week 8. He's 6,100 DraftKings salary, 600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 42 points scored in this game, with the 49ers favored by 1. Now, Brandon Ayuk has scored 15, 28, and 9 fantasy points in the last 3 games, off of 11, and 4 pass targets. So 22 targets in the past 2 weeks. Now we got Deebo Samuel out, so I'm expecting him to get at least 10 targets here this week. So I like Brandon Ayuk here versus the LA Rams. Okay, now this isn't a sleeper pick, but just pointing out these injuries going on here. So Chris Olave from the New Orleans Saints, Jarvis Landry still out, Michael Thomas still out, so he's going to continue to get excellent volume. He got 14 pass attempts last week, scored 21 fantasy points. Chris Olave playing the Las Vegas Raiders, who have the 4th worst defense overall. They give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Chris Olave has averaged 16.8 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 9.3 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 18% owned, projected at 15.7 fantasy points here in week 8. He's 6,000 DraftKings salary, 900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 49.5 points scored in this game, with the New Orleans Saints trailing by 1.5. So you got a good matchup, a high-scoring game, close, competitive game, couple of injuries at the position, so you know he's going to get a ton of pass targets here. So I like Chris Olave here versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. My tight end sleeper pick is Mike Gesicki from the Miami Dolphins, playing the Detroit Lions, who have the absolute worst defense overall. They give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Mike Gesicki has averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season, only getting an average of 3.7 pass targets per game, but he got 14 pass targets in the past 2 weeks, so I wouldn't be hung up on that number. And he's going to be about 5% owned, projected at 8.4 fantasy points here in week 8. He's 3,800 DraftKings salary, 1,600 more on FanDuel. And I like this pick because Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 51.5 points scored in this game, with the Dolphins favored by 3.5. And Tua Tagovailoa is back, so that should help his cause. It's a fantastic matchup. Salary's low, ownership's low. Lot to like about this pick. So I like Mike Gesicki here versus the Detroit Lions.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.